Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. And a huge thank you to the team at Benevity, Kelly and the team here, for hosting us for this announcement that we're making on the technology and innovation strategy for the province of Alberta. And I want to start first by giving a little bit of context for when I started out this role as the Minister of Jobs, Economy and Innovation with the responsibility of developing out Alberta's recovery plan. We knew right away that we had to diversify Alberta's economy. And at that point, there was a huge amount of uncertainty. We just experienced negative oil prices. We weren't sure if the vaccines were going to work. But we knew at that point that we had to make sure that we doubled down on the technology and innovation space here in the province of Alberta. And if you take a look at the narrative, when I started out, I said we want to put our flag in the ground to tell the world that Alberta is here to be a player in the tech and innovation space. And I must say, over the last 2 years, the momentum, the growth, and the opportunities and the jobs that are being created in the tech and innovation space in Alberta has blown many of us away. And just the momentum that is in this area, the jobs that are being created, the records that continue to be broken year over year in venture capital investment in Alberta, it actually just, it sparks that innovation and entrepreneurial spirit where people that before used to start an oilfield service company, now in Alberta, so many of them are starting up technology companies, whether it's fintech, clean technology companies. There's so many different areas of growth right now in this space in the province of Alberta. It's exciting. And to give you some kind of the history of this, we take a look at where venture capital investment has grown. Starting in 2017, we had about $37 million of venture capital investment in Alberta. You fast forward 2019, about 220 million. The year after that, 450 plus million. And last year, another record of $561 million of venture capital investment in the province of Alberta. It's amazing to see, but we still have a lot more to do here in Alberta. And we have a goal right now to become internationally recognized in Alberta as a hub in the tech and innovation space by 2030. And we have a goal of creating over 20,000 new jobs in this space, as well as creating an additional $5 billion of revenue in tech and innovation in our province. And now, what are the key 5 pillars for that? And then we're going to go through that here real quick. One is talent and skills, making sure we have that in Alberta, make sure we have the right skill sets. Capital and investment, converting research and development at our post-secondary institutions into commercialization and opportunities as well for people to create companies in Alberta. We have to optimize the tech and innovation space, as well as communicate the opportunities that are here in Alberta to continue to foster and grow the community in our province. I'll go now into each one of them. And just to give you a little bit of context as well, when we're launching the technology and innovation strategy for our province, this is the culmination of many departments' work. So you've got Service Alberta, you've got Advanced Education, you have Jobs, Economy and Innovation, you've got Finance and Treasury Board. You have all these different departments collaborating to pull all of this together. And throughout the last 2 years, you'll see about 60–70% of the initiatives that are in here in the strategy have already been implemented or in the process of being implemented. But we have an additional 20–30% of the strategies here are still programs that you're going to see be rolled out either through this budget process that we just did last month, as well as new initiatives and new policies that are going to be rolled out this spring and into the fall. Now, on talent and skills, this is the whole thing. We need all the range of skills from people that are going to be doing micro-credentialing all the way up to the most advanced people doing data science and high-end artificial intelligence training at schools like the University of Alberta, as well as quantum science technology at the University of Calgary. So we're launching initiatives like our micro-credential initiative that we did earlier this year with a pilot project, we did with a $5.6 million project with the University of Calgary. We also want to increase the enrollment. So you saw in our last budget an additional $600 million for skills, for training opportunities in Alberta. We need to increase the enrollment in programs like computer science, engineering, data science as well. So we're going to make sure we can increase that capacity, because right now we have thousands of job opportunities in Alberta, and we've got so many people that want to fill those jobs. We have to increase the capacity at our post-secondary institutions. As well, we've heard loud and clear from the digital and interactive media segment of our ecosystem and the economy here in Alberta that we have to do more. And in our strategy here, we want to work with that industry to build out those capacities in Alberta. We're going to be engaging with them this year to develop out that opportunity and strategy for Alberta. You would have seen as well earlier, we launched our immigration pathway, a streamlined process to bring talent into Alberta. We have just over 6,000 spots that we get to nominate at the provincial level, and we've recognized that the technology and innovation space is one area in particular that we want to bring further talent in an accelerated pathway into Alberta to make sure that we can have the right skill sets to meet the labor demands of our province. And now this is a new initiative, and I just want to flag this. We're working in partnership with Service Alberta on this. We're going to be creating an artificial intelligence lab in the province of Alberta. So look for more details to come on that here in the next little while. But we have so much information gets collected in the government, but we have to make sure we do it more efficiently in providing better services to the public. So everything from healthcare to how you deal with registry services, there's opportunities for us to provide better services with better outcomes to the public at a far better price point. And what better way to do that than to collaborate with all of the innovators across Alberta to get that done. So that's another one to look forward to from us. Another piece of this, and this is kind of our goal number 2, was to increase the capital and investment opportunities here in Alberta. We heard loud and clear from industry that we have to make sure we have better access to capital. And we launched earlier on in partnership with Alberta Enterprise Corporation an additional $175 million of capital. So they have about $350 million now that they're continuing to cycle through into the venture capital space, leveraging private sector dollars coming into Alberta. So that was one thing that we heard loud and clear. We also need to spark research and development here in our province. So we put in place the Innovation Employment Grant in Alberta, and that you'll see the size of that in our budget continues to grow, which is a good thing, because you see that further work that's being done here in Alberta. We also have to continue leveraging our tier funding. So in partnerships with Alberta Innovates, we're continuing to invest in startup companies that are providing that clean technology and opportunities for us to continue to be at the forefront of all things energy here in our province. And finally, this is another goal as well, is that we've had it so good in Alberta historically for many decades that we kind of win it alone in many respects when it came to funding research. And there's lots of opportunities for us in Alberta to collaborate in a better way with our federal counterparts to leverage federal research dollars that are coming into many areas where Alberta has an advantage over other regions of Canada. And we want to make sure that we fund those research projects to get that done for Alberta. Now, commercialization of research. We heard this loud and clear from industry. The government of Alberta, you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on research across the various institutions. How can we turn this into job opportunities and companies here in Alberta? That's one of the reasons why we launched our accelerator program, where we've brought in accelerators like Plug and Play, 500 Global. We've partnered with Platform Calgary and Innovate Edmonton on the Catalyzer program. We simply have to do a better job of mentoring these startup companies so that when they grow from 5, 10 employees 1 year, hopefully that many of them can get to the Benevity size here where you're getting close to 1,000 plus employees. You can get those bigger scaling companies, and they have to do it in such a short period of time. And we want to make sure that they have those mentorship opportunities. So we've made that investment to bring in world-class accelerators to Alberta, and they're already starting to have an immense amount of success here at home. The other part of it is our IP framework. We've heard we have to do a far better job when it comes to having a consistent approach with the intellectual property that's being developed at our post-secondary institutions. Our Minister of Advanced Education is working closely right now with our post-secondary institutions across Alberta to launch that project and initiative right here in our province to make sure, again, that the research doesn't just get stuck at our post-secondaries. It has to be able to come out, it has to be commercially investable, and we've heard loud and clear that that needs to get done. The next initiative that you're going to hear more about this spring is our data strategy. This is another area where a lot of our just privacy legislation, everything that goes into this was designed for an era of the fax machine. And we need to make sure that we update our data strategy here in Alberta to make sure we can compete in a way that provides safety to the individual's information, but also allows us to unlock opportunities long-term to solve the most challenging problems that face society as well as our government. Another area as well that we're going to be investing in, and this is in our budget, and you're going to see some announcements here in the next few weeks, is around artificial intelligence, quantum science, as well as cybersecurity. Alberta has the opportunity to be leaders in these fields. If you take a look at the University of Alberta in particular, with the funding that we're going to be providing, we're going to take it to one of the top levels of funding and institutions in the entire country. And this is going to help us long-term develop the talent that we need to be able to take advantage of the career opportunities, the growth trajectories of companies here in Alberta. For far too long, we trained people and then they left Alberta. Now we're starting to see that critical mass of companies like Benevity here in our province that are providing those career opportunities for Albertans so they can stay and grow and achieve what they want in their careers. We're also going to be establishing a clean hydrogen center of excellence in Alberta as a part of the energy transformation that's happening worldwide and many companies making pushes towards net zero. Alberta has an opportunity to continue to be a leader worldwide in all things energy, and our investment in the Clean Hydrogen Center of Excellence is going to allow us to capitalize on a $1 trillion opportunity worldwide that Alberta can play a leadership role in and just create further opportunities for people here in the province. Another one just to highlight as well is the investment in rural broadband. The $380+ million investment that we've made at the provincial level to provide further connectivity opportunities for people across this province. You just have to simply hop on a caucus call that we have with our colleagues across Alberta, and you will see the difference in connectivity in Alberta. And sometimes when you live in a city like Calgary, like I do, you don't necessarily appreciate some of the challenges for our rural members of Alberta, but it's real and it's tangible. And when it comes to kind of leveling that playing field, providing opportunities for people across Alberta, rural broadband is going to be another key part of it. Again, the last 2 points here that we're going to make around optimizing Alberta's tech and innovation ecosystem, it has to be a continued discussion. I remember when I took on this role, at that point in time, our government's relationship with the tech and innovation space wasn't as good as it should have been. And we took on that role to make sure that we built as many bridges as possible. And the one thing that I'm really proud of is the fact that we've taken a lot of the politics out of this space, where everybody's cheering for this industry. It doesn't matter if you're at the federal level, the provincial level, the civic level. Everybody in Alberta wants this industry and this whole space to be successful. They recognize that it's important to diversification. And I just want to say thank you to the people that initially probably were a little bit skeptical when a new minister came in, but I just appreciate the fact that you're willing to work with us and get so many things done, from the Innovation Capital Working Group recommendations to helping us fill out the strategy here. This is the beginning, I believe, of an amazing decade for Alberta with huge opportunities for us. And the collaboration that we had with the technology and innovation ecosystem was just second to none. So thank you. The other part of it, and the final point, is enhancing Alberta's reputation and also just clearly communicating nationally and internationally what are the opportunities here in Alberta in this space. And this is the one thing when I took on this role, and there was an immense amount of uncertainty, we took the position that we were going to become a dominant player in Canada in tech and innovation, and we just consistently drove that message. And we've had so much success in the last 2 years with the companies that have grown in confidence, grown in size, had success. And the real kind of test point for me is when I go out and I talk to high school kids, and they think about what their opportunities are in Alberta. And I'd say 2 years ago, when you talk to young people, they would really question, is there a future for me in Alberta? Is there a future for me in this province? And I must say that where we were to where we are, it's a huge step forward. We still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of work to do, but I must say that our reputation has improved dramatically. On top of that, I was recently in Toronto meeting with investors, financial institutions, people that are looking at deploying capital and creating jobs here in Alberta. And our reputation in this province has improved dramatically. People now know that they need to be here. They know that there's job opportunities. They know as well that there's investment opportunities here in Alberta. So I want to say it's a huge step forward. Alberta is now on the map when it comes to the city of Calgary is ranked in the top 30 in North America. The city of Edmonton's in the top 50 in North America, rising in the rankings year over year. And the one thing I love about Alberta is that it's confident, it's growing again, and as much as you see all of the different areas of our economy that are starting to fire and head in the right direction, this truly can be Alberta's decade. And I'm just excited to have the opportunity to collaborate with the industry. And I'm going to stop there. So I'm a little bit longer. Normally I'm the short minister when it comes to remarks, so I appreciate your patience as well on that side. And I'm going to turn over to one of our colleagues from Alberta Innovates.
Thank you, Minister, and good morning, everyone. I'm Raleigh Dykstra. I'm the Executive Vice President, Impact for Alberta Innovates. Alberta needs a strong technology innovation strategy. It is a guiding light that helps us determine the most appropriate investments that we need to make for Albertans. Meaningful investments, investments with demonstrable impacts, and measurable outcomes. As the Minister said, talent development is a crucial component in supporting an evolving innovation ecosystem, enabling stronger workforce through targeted investments in people, but also making sure that we develop the companies in Alberta so that they're ready and capable of accepting those people when they're ready. Commercialization supports continue to represent a key focus as well. Looking for advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning, supporting the goals of the Research to Commercialization Working Group, driving commercialization of intellectual property from our post-secondary institutions, but also, as the Minister said, attracting those federal government dollars to this province for those important research initiatives that we're undertaking. And we are always trying to develop new scale and growth opportunities, as the Minister referenced in the accelerator comments that he made. We are on a path forward for continuous improvement in the supports that we're providing to Alberta companies, always looking to reduce redundancy and improve efficiencies. Alberta Innovates, through our predecessor organizations, have been moving innovation forward for over 100 years. Through patient investments in areas once described as emerging, we set the foundation for Alberta companies to leverage and grow. Under the Alberta Technology Innovation Strategy, Alberta Innovates will continue to grow and scale tech businesses through our accelerator programs and small business support programs. We're also going to expand on our history and expertise in hydrogen and also in carbon capture technologies. We're going to anchor a new value-added manufactured industry using the carbon from bitumen, so watch for that. And also we're going to harness data and digital enable health technologies to advance new models for healthcare. Now is the time for Alberta tech and innovation. We have an educated workforce, a young population, and the natural resources on our side. Alberta Innovates is looking forward to working with the Department of Jobs, Economy and Innovation to implement the Alberta Technology Innovation Strategy. Thank you very much. I'd now like to introduce Deborah Yedlin, President and CEO of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks, Rolly. Good morning, Minister. This is an exciting morning for Alberta. And as Minister Schweitzer said, there's so much going on that we have to be optimistic about. But let's step back for a minute. Before Alberta's tech sector could be defined in numbers, or jobs, or new innovation, or capital raised, before we had unicorns like Benevity, ShareWorks, Enervis, Intelligence Research, we were forging our place as the province that could transform our greatest challenges into our best opportunities. In 1908, Charles Mayer wrote about our oil sands. When the hour of development comes, it will prove to be one of the wonders of northern Canada. Fast forward to 1967, production begins with the Great Canadian Oil Sands Project, known today as Suncor. We saw an opportunity, literally mixed within a real challenge, how to separate our bitumen from sand and water. And we used all that we knew about ourselves. We knew that we could be hardworking, that we're innovative, that we have the skills and we know how to take risks. And all of this was applied in the development of our abundant natural resources. These attributes, alongside the goals of the Alberta Technology and Innovation Strategy announced this morning, have the potential to shape our economic future in this province and around the world. The goals: build a talent pipeline, increase access to capital, facilitate tech's ability to commercialize innovation, build our reputation, and take our place as a global player at the tech and innovation table. Much of the groundwork has been laid by Alberta-born tech companies that have worked to establish their own place in the innovation ecosystem. And we expect today's strategy to fortify that groundwork, to strengthen it, extend it, and amplify it. Other countries and governments have done this, and so can we. Take Israel, for example. It's often said Europe's biggest loss after World War II was the flight of intellectual capital from the continent to North America and Israel. That influx into Israel formed the basis of the state's growth after 1948. In the 1950s and 60s, it was agriculture and manufacturing that put 1 million immigrants to work. And it was the influx of more than 1 million Russian immigrants in the 1970s, many of whom were mathematicians and physicists, that not only posed a problem from the context of what to do, but also hinted at opportunity. The opportunity to harness the intellectual horsepower for economic development. Today, the success stories and the impact they've had on the Israeli economy are the envy of the world. The Alberta Technology and Innovation Strategy is about building our own success story. It's about seizing the opportunity we see before us, supporting a sector hitting its stride, more than doubling in just 3 years, not stopping at having a healthy startup ecosystem, but setting our sights on scale-up, not stopping when we've developed the technology the world needs, but figuring out how to commercialize it and take it to markets beyond our borders. In a few decades, we went from how to get our oil out of the ground, how to scale and commercialize our bitumen technology, how to make money at it, and now we're looking at how we do it better, make it greener, and on a global scale. I can imagine in 1967 it was difficult to fully comprehend the economic opportunity our oil sands would create for our province and people. And today, we're at a similar juncture. Alongside industry and government, we set the stage with Alberta's technology and innovation strategy, and perhaps a defining moment in the history of technology and innovation in Alberta. Thank you to the Alberta government for its work in developing this important strategy. At the Calgary Chamber, we look forward to working closely on behalf of our business community and tech companies across the city to bring action to the strategy announced today, to attract needed skills, to establish new jobs and opportunities, unlock investment, to build partnerships with industry and post-secondary, and to set our tech sector up for the success we know it's ready for, and as Minister Schweitzer said, set Alberta up for an amazing decade. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That brings us to the question and answer portion of our event. We do have a microphone over on the side here for any media in attendance. All of our speakers are willing to take questions, and we can do one question and one follow-up. We will start with the phones right now, and that gives folks here the opportunity to make it to the mic as well. Operator, can you put through the first caller?
Catherine Grukowski, Alberta Today.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I think this will be for the minister. What would you say is the biggest difference in this plan compared to the 2017 Alberta Research and Innovation Framework?
I would say the biggest difference right now is an emphasis on building on the momentum right now in the province of Alberta. If you take a look at where we were as a province in 2017, we only had about $37 million going into venture capital, whereas just last year we had $561 million of venture capital investment in that year alone. We've got numerous companies that are scaling and growing from a handful of employees to well over 100 employees. We've got numerous unicorns like Benevity now in the technology space in Alberta. So it's a very different time in the evolution of our province, whereas very much before we were kind of just trying to find our footing, trying to find what the path forward looks like. But now we're much more mature in the development of this space, and we're looking to make Alberta a dominant player in the technology and innovation ecosystem across Canada. So that would be the difference between where we are today versus where we were in 2017.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. And you mentioned the privacy legislation, how right now it's written in the era of facts. I know, for example, health innovation is very interested in Alberta Health Services because it's a centralized entity. But I'm wondering, can you shed some more light on what type of updates to the privacy legislation we'll be looking at?
Well, there'll be further details to be rolled out primarily through Service Alberta here in the time to come in the next few months. But that being said, I can give you some insight into where the opportunities are. Right now, with the advancements of artificial intelligence and machine learning, you can take very complex data sets and solve challenges in ways that we never could before. And so when we take a look at the most challenging circumstances for what's the most efficient way to deploy logistics in healthcare, or what's the most efficient way to utilize resources in a hospital, even when it comes to development of vaccines as well as pharmaceuticals, there's opportunities for us to take a look at the data in Alberta and provide better outcomes. Now, the challenge that we have to make sure that we balance off is making sure you protect the individual's privacy. And so that work right now is being undertaken in collaboration between our health team and Service Alberta.
All right, thank you, Catherine. We'll go give the opportunity on the floor here for questions. No? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hi. I'm not very tech savvy, so I apologize if this is an elementary question, but I'm just wondering, it seems as though everyone around the world is trying to make the same strides we are in Alberta. So just talk a bit about why do you think we would be more poised than other places to advance in this area?
So when you take a look at the workforce, the career opportunities, as well as the makeup of Alberta's economy, every piece of the traditional drivers of Alberta, so from the oil and gas industry to the agricultural sector to the forestry industry, every single industry is being disrupted by the applications of artificial intelligence, the applications of just the basic tools that are being developed right now in so many different ways across the entire economy worldwide. So we want to make sure that we position Alberta for long-term success, and for us to be able to capitalize on opportunities, disruptions in energy, disruptions in the financial markets. We need to make sure that we have the skills and training for our workforce, as well as making sure that we're scaling and growing companies that can compete in that very much what they say is the kind of the fourth industrial revolution, some people call it. But we want to make sure that Alberta's companies can compete and create career opportunities for Albertans here at home.
Also, is there one area, because it's quite diverse, is there one area you feel as though is sort of most urgent that we need to get going on?
So on that space there's a range of industries that are starting to really find their footing in Alberta. Obviously energy and all things energy, from the ESG push to the finding new ways to become more efficient using artificial intelligence. Everything in energy is just really, really advancing quickly, as well as hydrogen opportunities, carbon capture technologies. All of that's happening right here in Alberta. We're also seeing a huge development in what they call fintech, so the financial technology space. We're seeing an immense amount of growth in the marketplace across Alberta on companies that are scaling and having an immense amount of success in fintech, as well as one area is the agricultural technology, so ag tech space. We're seeing we've brought in an accelerator called Thrive, which is a global player. We're developing further research farms like Olds College, which has literally tractor drones. Like they're almost the size of a house that they're putting out there into the R&D farms that are out there. So big opportunities for us to lead, particularly in those areas. But it seems like every week you got a new company popping up. We've got Athenian, which is a legal tech firm, which has a global play already. So it really is just a matter of how creative the innovators are in Alberta.
All right, we'll do one more scan of the floor here. Very good. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.